Hello, and welcome to All Shorts here in France. And I want to talk about the budget bill, the US budget bill that has just got through the House at 215 to 214 votes. And to be honest, it isn't really a budget bill. No, there's elements of it that is a budget bill, hence it only needed a majority. But really it should have been at 60%, considering there's elements of this bill that should have really required a higher majority, like say 60%. But you know, hiding a few little details, they won't notice, will they? Well, he did. We noticed a few little details. Anyway, it's rather nice here today. It's been a beautiful day. Oh, it has. Now this bill, other than the fact that it's going to increase the deficit by around, it could jump it up by at least 3 trillion, which isn't very helpful, no. It does allow other countries to invest more money in the dollar, so they can actually buy more, or get more interest on their monies, and they can buy more munitions, so they become stronger against the United States. Or even so they can actually crash the US economy. You know how it goes, you know. But you see, it surprises me that it got through. Now, there's a lot of talk there was from the Republicans. So how can I vote for this? How can I vote for this? But they did, okay? And it got through as a result. Now, it's got to go to the Senate, right? So, they haven't got there yet. But that's going to go through, you know. That's going to go through. But it's absolutely disgraceful. Now, it gives Donald Trump immunity for, well, basically breaking the law about not complying with court rulings. I just find it absolutely flabbergasting. And not just Donald Trump, it's any members of the so-called government, or should we say regime, who can actually just get away with fucking murder now. Are people really stupid? I just find it absolutely flabbergasting that the American people think this is okay. Even bagger. That means that they can actually act against your own best interests. You see, these systems are put in place to protect the citizens, so no rogue government can take advantage of the citizens, because it goes to the courts and what have you, and they will, well, shoot it down in flames. And that's happened several times for Donald Trump, hasn't it? It makes perfect sense not to allow governments to, well, take advantage of the people. And as such, this bill allows Donald Trump to take advantage of the people, plain and simple. There's an actual car. I think it's the first one I've seen down there all day. See a couple of tractors, mind? A couple of tractors. Yeah, that's my little house over there. I don't know if you can see it. It's probably overexposed. No, there it is. That's my house. Yeah. So it's, quite a nice place to live, that it is. And it was cheap. So, the thing is, you see, there's other elements of this bill that, quite frankly, you'd have to think to yourself, what the fuck is going on? Why do people think this is okay? Now, there are the obvious stuff, like 800 billion cuts to Medicaid, and then there's 500 billion in cuts to Medicare. Now, I'm not sure if it's Medicare's total budget, but I know that 800 billion is the total budget of Medicaid. That's literally ripping away your health care if you benefit from Medicaid. And then obviously Medicare. I just find this absolute madness. You cannot have a healthy economy if you do not have a healthy population. Unless you all have robots, We're not quite there yet with our robots, but it won't be long. Maybe that's the plan. What the hell was that? Just big bug just flew into me. But so all that stuff has been ripped away from you. All those things that are there, put there in the first place to protect you. which I find absolutely... What the hell are they thinking? They've repealed an act that allowed taxation on things like sunbeds and stuff like that, so they could be taxed. Sunbeds. Well, there's a particular orange person that might benefit from being orange and having cheap sunbeds. I don't know, you must get through quite a few. But there we go, I thought it was a spray tan, you know. I thought it'd be, remove the tax on the spray booths, maybe. Or the Wilbur spray guns. I don't know what they use. Is it some kind of auto paint? I don't know, something's using, isn't it? It's either Cheeto dust or auto paint, one or the other. And then there's the other thing that I find quite despicable, actually. It's disgraceful. Now, Donald Trump recently has been increasing the distribution of military-grade weapons to the police and ICE and people like that, yeah, who quite frankly like hobby bobbies. But they've removed the tax on silencers. Well, the reason for a silencer, we all know, don't we, is so you could be stealth. And I'm not talking about the stealth planes that Donald Trump keeps going on about, and he seems to think stealth means that they are actually invisible. Not that they're invisible to radar, but they're actually invisible. That you're walking along and all of a sudden go, if you know what I mean. The man is a complete and utter lunatic, he really is. So there's all these elements to this bill that take away sensible taxation on certain items, but also takes away it's absolute madness, your protections. And there's other stuff in there as well, which quite frankly is jaw-dropping. And they voted for it. 215 to 214 votes. That's just nuts. Absolute nuts. So what's going to happen to people who are dependent on these services, you know? What's going to happen to the hospitals that rely on the throughput to keep the doors open? How are they going to get paid? You're not going to try and tell me that everyone's going to have to get some form of insurance, which people can't afford already. That's why you got the Medicaid and Medicare, you know? It's there for a reason. It's just so bloody expensive in the United States. I'll give you a little idea, you know. Tell us the comments, right? For instance, if you're relying on an inhaler for asthma, right? Let me know how much you're paying for it if you're having to buy inhalers, or if they tell you how much they're charging for an inhaler. Leave in the comments down below. Because here in France, or even in the UK, they're around, anything from around €8 to around €20, depending what type you get. And depending if it's the little mechanical ones or whether it's the aerosols, you know, and what type of salbutamol or Becotide or Ventolin or, you know, whatever type of inhaler that you're using. No, now I know the price difference is shocking, and that's going to go across the board for all medications. What about people women who are pregnant, for instance? You know, they can't get an abortion, we know that already. But how are they going to afford actually having a baby safely? Not everyone can have it at home, it's just not safe for them to do so. Let's say, for instance, they've had, argument's sake, placenta previa or something like that, where they've had to have a cesarean with their first child. Well, technically, usually what happens is you've got to have another one. But if your healthcare doesn't, allow for that, and you've got no cover, what are you going to do? Die? Well, in Donald Trump's book, that is actually okay. But then you've got a child without a mother as well. There's just so many scenarios that that's deeply worrying. Now, I'm not an American citizen, I'm a British citizen living here in France. But I can see the madness in this, you know. We have a healthcare system in France that works as a hybrid system where you have a certain level of insurance, which is basically pays for 1/3, and the rest of it is by the state. And there is no argument here. They're very much about preventative hair, you know. In fact, yesterday we got a physical appointment come through. So we got to go and have a physical. They wire you up and put you on a bike. So, and recently I had a colon cancer test done. You know, basically you have to do the old scratch and sniff. And not actually scratch and sniff. Okay. Anyway, you have to send him a sample, all right? So that's really easy to do. So we did that, and that come back clear. And I have regular blood tests anyway because of various issues I have, a thyroid and God knows what else. And because I've got high blood pressure at the moment, probably with everything that's going on, I've been having other blood, new and a fresh lot of blood tests. See, it's quick here. Here in France, it's so quick. I'm sure it's quick in the United States, but the cost, it's not affordable for ordinary people. The insurances are not affordable for ordinary people. You know, the United States is like the only country like this. You know, it should all be free within reason at the point of view. So, for instance, the NHS in the UK. You know, the citizens pay their national insurance, what have you, and some of it comes out of taxation. But it's covered, you know. It's covered. You haven't got that worry. Can you imagine it? Well, you probably can, you know, if you're in the United States, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's just like constant torment that you're not going to be treated for something that is quite, potentially could be serious. You don't know what the future holds, do you? It's madness. Absolute madness. They're doing everything they can to squeeze every single little penny out of you. Oh yeah, discontinuing the penny anyway. I'll get my worms out in a minute. Discontinuing the penny, I hear. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. And if it gets through the Senate and what have you, shit is going to hit the fan, isn't it, for people? It really is. It's going to be some tough times ahead. Anyway, what do you reckon? Quite nice living there, you know. There's cows over there. Can you see the cows? They're the dead tree. Normally they come and see me, but they're sitting down at the moment. I think they're expecting rain. That they are. I tell you what, I can zoom in on them. Yeah, I can zoom in on the cows because I've got my camera. But there they go. Where are they? Oh, there's the cows. That they are. Oh, and there's a Hirondelle. Oh no, you can't see that. It's moving too fast. Too fast for me. Right, anyway, it's time for me to go, because I totally, you know. But if you want a bit of a like button, maybe subscribe to the channel. And I'll do a few more videos, just going for a bit of a walk and that, you know. I need to blink and exercise, I really do. Been stuck in my little studio all the time. If you're a sport channel, you know, Patreon and buy us coffee, and the links are down below. That they are. But for now, toodaloo.